Welcome to the Resistance broadcast. It is TRB Live. I may have blown my mic. I may have blown your ears. I may have woken up the neighbors and the kids, but that's okay because it's time to have a good time talking Star Wars, and we're so glad you're here with us on the Resistance broadcast. I'm John. That's Lacey, and we are so glad to be back. We had a vacation. We both went are on our own vacations at the same time with our families and had a wonderful time.
It just happened perfectly.
Yeah, you were like, I forgot to tell you, going away early August. I'm like, when? And the dates worked out. So it was a little TRB, PTO, whatever. But we're back. We're here to talk about react to D23, the Star Wars presentation there. Obviously, the Skeleton Crew trailer. Alden Ehrenreich timestamping again that he wants back in as Han Solo. We'll get into that. A lot of stuff. But first off, I want to thank everybody for joining us live. And if you are, please make sure you spread the word. Tell people on social media that we are live. Have them come in the base because the more, the merrier. Obviously, it's a party. We're here to have a good time. Super chats are available. We are doing Ask the Resistance later in the show. So if you have any Star Wars questions about D23, the trailers, Alden Ehrenreich, whatever, anything Star Wars, pop it in the chat. Use the hashtag. Lacey will pop it in the queue, and we'll get to as many as we can at the end of the show. But we have a lot of stuff to talk about. Before we do that, Lacey, how you doing? We already talked vacation, so we need to get into that. But just how's it going? You ready to talk Star Wars? You feeling good?
I am. I think it's been a great week for Star Wars with Young Jedi Adventures. I had the joy of speaking to Dee Bradley Baker. Disney and Lucasfilm let us be a part of a kind of pop culture creator podcaster is what the word I was looking for, roundtable, which was super fun. So that's something I did on vacation. So there was a couple things that I did on vacation that I was like, well, it's now or never. But it was a lot of fun, and I really have enjoyed Young Jedi Adventure so far, which I know you said your Daisy has started watching it, right?
So Daisy and Johnny have been watching Young Jedi Adventures. Daisy was her first real watching Star Wars, and she seemed to really enjoy it. But Johnny, he watched 3 episodes in a row, and I told him, I was like, listen, I'm going to tell everybody what you thought on the live show. And I told him, if mommy lets you stay up, so he might be watching right now. Hey, Johnny, make sure you go to bed after this if you're watching. He wanted people to know what he thought. So he wanted people to know that he loves the blue character. And he said, he goes, what's his name? Nubs? He's like, yeah, I like Nubs. I love seeing Yoda. He loved when they were in space. He thought that was so cool, them flying through space. And he's like, anytime I saw a Jedi, I loved it. So thumbs up from Johnny.
The whole show is Jedi, so he must have loved every second.
Yeah. So he is going to be 6 in like 2 weeks. It's right in his wheelhouse. He's very happy about it, and he's looking forward to continue watching it. So good job, Star Wars, creating stuff for the kids. And Daisy, her first step into a larger world. So both the Hoey kids on board with Young Jedi Adventures. And I know for a while you were saying your Daisy was pretty enamored with the visuals of that show as well. And
it's in the rotation. It's probably down a little bit on the list. So it's hard to defeat Bluey or Blippy or Miss Rachel. You know, they're holding the top 3. But it's in the top 10, I'd say. She loved it. She thinks Yoda's Grogu, which is to me hilarious because it just shows you, you know, because she loves Grogu. She has a ton of Grogu. She carries around Grogu all the time. It's her baby. So first of all, I love how weird she is that she's like, this is my baby doll, and it's Grogu. But yeah, I mean, I think she's gonna like it. I'm gonna try to show it to her sometime soon. I just wanted to, you know, you gotta get them when they want to watch it, because if they don't want to watch it, then
wait a minute. All right, so I think my son thought he was gonna be on the show. So can he come down real quick?
Of course, come on down. I wish I had music to play him on.
Come on down. All right, so this is live.
All the toy sets are on Amazon right now for like a really good price.
Well, his birthday's coming up. He already has like an idea of what he wants.
Prime Day, they were
Send
like,
him down. We're live. This is live podcasting. Yeah. So
please, if you're watching, make sure to like the video, subscribe, share this on Twitter, Instagram, wherever. Let us know how you're watching. We love to see it. We never really say that, but it's important. We're always just like, oh, here he comes.
Here's Johnny. There he is. Come on up, buddy. Oh, and Daisy's coming too.
All the way up.
Okay, so Johnny, I want you to just tell Lacey what you thought of Young Jedi Adventures. What'd you think?
It was awesome.
Yeah?
It was super funny. I liked all the Jedis.
All the Jedi. And which character did you like a lot?
Nubs.
What color was Nubs again? I forget.
Blue.
Oh, blue, right. And who else was
Good
there?
choice.
Who was the older character there with them that I like?
I don't know.
It looks like that.
Yoda.
Yoda, that's right. And you like the space stuff and stuff, but how many episodes did you watch last night? I watched like a bunch.
3.
Yeah. So do you give a thumbs up to Young Jedi Adventures?
Yep.
Young Jedi Adventures gets a
Hoey
thumbs up.
household
Daisy,
approved.
Double.
Oh,
Double.
6 thumbs up from the Hoey house. Daisy, you liked it too?
Yeah.
All right. Thank you guys so much. Say bye to everybody.
Bye.
Say may the force be with you.
May the force be with you.
All right.
Bye, guys.
Love you guys.
Love you.
Thanks for coming on the show. Hey, get some sleep. You good tomorrow, all right?
Oh,
All right. All right. Love you guys. Bye. Okay.
And that's who that show is made for, right there.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
who that's made for.
Nice.
Friendly reminder.
Yeah, so that's a TRB first, I think. But
It is.
thank you to everybody for allowing the kids to pop on here. And I know Star Wars is for everybody and is for kids, and I love that my kids were able to watch a new animated show that isn't so entrenched in canon the way like a Rebels is or something. It's a fun show that is canon, I guess, but it's something kids can enjoy and, like I said, take their first step into a larger world. So very cool. And thanks for letting them pop on. But in addition to that, I mean, I don't know how he can follow that, honestly. But Lacey, you had a chance to speak with the man. So why don't you let people know what's going on, and then we'll get to the clip.
I did. I got to join a bunch of different content creators, podcasters, fandom site people, our people, fandom people, in a roundtable with Dee Bradley Baker, and it was really fun. I believe some of the people on there were from Sithless, Try to the Force, Talking Bay 94, and Star Wars Explained, which, by the way, Star Wars Explained put up a full video with everybody's questions. I'm just going to show mine right now just for the sake of time. But we'll share Star Wars Explained video in the chat as well as in the description, so you guys can see the whole thing after this.
Nice.
Because Alex and Molly put together a really nice recap that I could not even attempt to do better than what they've already done. So why duplicate efforts? I'll just share their awesome video. But for the time being, I'm going to share what we talked about, which I have to give a couple props to John because he came up with the question. So, Dee Bradley Baker.
Meet you. I'm Lacey from the Resistance broadcast. So I have a 3-year-old Daisy who's obsessed with Nubs. She loves Nubs, thinks it's the funniest thing ever. So one of the big things about being a mom of a young kid is you get to kind of experience kid shows again, all over again from what you loved when you were little.
Yeah.
So my question is, did you have any cartoons that you were drawn to when you were younger that then maybe influenced Nubs or what you do now?
Well, the kind of stuff that I loved watching, it was numerous. I really like the old Looney Tunes cartoons, which is, it's got a real economy to the storytelling, as I was talking about. I liked Scooby-Doo a lot because there's kind of it was like there was a mystery to it. There was always something and I always wanted to, like, there's ghosts and UFOs and things like that. So that had my attention. Johnny Quest, really, that and Land of the Lost, those were like my childhood sci-fis that really captivated me, as well as the old school Star Trek as well. And so that very much carved out a space for this young aspiring actor, because I liked acting a lot. I never wanted to be an actor because I didn't think you could earn a living as an actor. It was always just something fun to do. But there are these versions of acting and performing where it's like, well, you can do acting, but there's like slee stacks and monsters and aliens. It's like I don't
All the
think
fun
anything.
stuff.
Yeah, the fun stuff. It's like
Yeah.
I don't see any way to get to that. I don't think I could earn a living doing that. But man, if I could, if I could live in the fantasy world of HR Puffin stuff, maybe sing some songs, have a bunch of weird creatures to talk to, that sounds like heaven to me. And I think I'm in heaven now. I think I have found my heaven with, with, with Young Jedi and Star Wars and all of this. It's absolutely just the child in me is screaming for joy with telling these tales and being a part of them. It's such gratifying fun.
Well, it's so fun to watch. Thank you so much.
Oh, good.
There's that giggle.
My nerdy giggle. I'm like,
You know, he sounds a lot like another legendary voice actor, Billy West, to me.
he does.
His normal voice, yeah. Like I could see him, like if they needed him to do like Stimpy, he could easily step into that. But like I love that answer. I like hearing what people got into. So thank you for taking the time on vacation to talk to him.
It was
doing that.
I don't want to say blast because I feel like people use that term like over the top now, like everything's a blast. But it was really fun. And as you hear him speaking, he loved being there. There's nothing better than going into a round table or an interview with talent that wants to be speaking to you.
Exactly.
He was laughing the whole time. He's having it's not work to him. He's enjoying spending time talking to people about what he does. And that's just so genuine and wonderful that I would talk to him again anytime. So Dee, if you're watching this, come on the show. We'd love to have you on. You are so fun to talk to.
Absolutely. It's a very cool thing to see. And was that from Disney?
Yeah, it was Disney and Lucasfilm.
Oh, okay, cool. Very, very cool. Thank you very much, Disney and Lucasfilm, for giving us the opportunity to chat with him. And hopefully you guys liked the question we pitched. I always like to see, like I said, where people who create the stuff now were inspired by. So I think that's really cool. So great job, Lacey. Thank you, Dee Bradley Baker, Disney, Lucasfilm, and hopefully you guys enjoyed that. But now it is time to get into the Resistance Report.
It's the Resistance.
All right. Am I doing news or are you doing news? I'm doing news, right?
You do it. I have all the stuff to talk about it, but yeah, you.
Okay. All right. So D23 came and went. Star Wars had their presentation, and what we got was the trailer, long-awaited trailer for Skeleton Crew, which is coming out December 3rd with a 2-episode premiere. That seems to be the new deal for Star Wars. Tuesday nights. The first week is 2 episodes. So that's coming. So we're going to talk about that trailer in a bit. But also, Diego Luna took the stage to talk about Andor Season 2, and he revealed a sizzle reel that leaked all over the place online.
I mean, everything leaked that they posted. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, they should just honestly release them at this point. Like, get people
I know.
hyped
It makes no sense.
Yeah. As opposed to an iPhone filming of it or whatever. And then the Mando and Grogu teaser as well. I think that was shown just to the people in the room. Also went all over the place online. So, we'll talk about what was seen because we obviously caught it as people shared them. We did not personally share them, of course, because we respect, their, what they're trying to do. Obviously at, Chicago 2019, Favreau's like, please don't share this, that type of thing.
Yeah.
But I saw it, so we'll give our thoughts on those, of course. I'm sure a lot of our audience saw a bunch of those too. But where do you want to kick things off here, Lacey? I mean, I think Skeleton Crew trailer is probably the way to go. It's the next live-action Star Wars show. So after watching this, we knew it was going to be very Amblin 80s Spielberg fantasy nostalgia, a story about coming of age and kids, very Star Wars as well. What do you think of the trailer for the next live-action Star Wars show, Skeleton Crew?
Why don't you kick it off?
Okay. I really enjoyed the trailer. I thought the visuals were fantastic. I felt like there was a lot to absorb on the screen. And I grew up loving all of those types of stories, whether it's E.T. or Goonies or any sort of adventure where when you watch it as a kid, you feel like you're going on that adventure. And I feel like the way they're trying to capture the story is they're trying to take us along for the ride. And even as an adult now, it makes me feel like a kid again, and I love that. And yeah, it touches on things in a very nostalgic way, but I think that's okay. I think maybe we need a little bit of that right now. There's a certain wholesomeness that I think is going to come with this series. I think there's going to be high stakes, but I think in the end, I don't think we're going to have any deaths of major characters in this show or anything like that. I think it's just going to be one of those adventures that shows what it's like to go through things, and when you're getting trying to make certain decisions in life. And like George Lucas said, I make these things for 10 to 12-year-olds, and you're going to be faced with certain things in life, and you got to choose whether to do the right thing or the wrong thing. And we're probably going to see these kids face that and go through quite a bit over these 8 episodes and end up being different in a good way by the end, when I assume they get home. But the one thing that really stood out to me from a speculation perspective is at the end of the trailer, Jude Law gets the key off the ring, and it's very classic escape Pirates of the Caribbean, Goonies type of thing. The one character goes, "You're a Jedi," and he just takes his hood off, and it looks sort of ominously. I don't think he's a Jedi. Just
I don't think so
that,
either.
yeah.
I think it's pretty obvious from the beginning that the main character is putting the Jedi into everything that he's doing. So he thinks they found a Jedi temple in the woods. They think they're with a Jedi. They think that, he wants to become a Jedi. He's reading these books. He's kind of seeing things he wants to see, which as children, we all kind of do. We all want to have something happen, like go on an adventure, and we're willing to overlook everything around us, which is the obvious answer, just to kind of fit it into that box of like, oh, this is what's happening right now. We're going on an adventure to become Jedi. And it's like, no, you're just in a ship that was left behind by a smuggler or a pirate or whoever. Overall, I really did enjoy this trailer. It took me a couple times to like really take it in. I think it's because I've just been so trained with Star Wars trailers that there's going to be some big reveal at the end or some big moment, or I have to like not take in the story. Like it just, I was too busy looking to see like what I was going to miss instead of just enjoying the trailer itself. And I think we kind of tend to do that as Star Wars fans, is like, okay, what Easter eggs are there? And it's like, okay, hold on, I haven't even watched what this is about. It was weird seeing like suburbia in Star Wars, which I understand we see a lot of obviously rich people with like Canto Bight and Coruscant, and then we see like the outskirts in The Mandalorian, and then with Rey and the Outer Rim. It's just weird seeing that because it doesn't feel like Star Wars to me. And I don't know if it's because with E.T. and Goonies, and specifically with Stranger Things being kind of the most recent 80s suburbia kids on their bicycles show, it's a little hard for me to separate that, because it just feels like this show is just taking pieces of all these different things and kind of putting them together, and then throwing Star Wars in there and mixing it around and being like, here's our new show. Getting elements of like Harry Potter, Goonies, like I said, Star Wars, not necessarily Hunger Games. That's a little more cutthroat than what this is. This is very kind of
E.T.
family friendly. Yeah. Labyrinth with all the creatures. And I know a lot of people pointed out that there's that little kind of pink orange fuzzball from Captain EO with Michael Jackson from the Epcot ride or Epcot attraction, which is a cool Easter egg. I don't think, we were discussing kind of off air if we thought that this meant a bigger thing for this. I don't think it does. I think we both agreed with that it's probably just like a little bit of a call out.
Yeah.
But even then, that reminded me of Guardians of the Galaxy, where the person's clearly collecting all these animals, and that guy's in a cage, so he's like collecting all these species. So is that Jude Law's character? Does Jude Law's character collect these things and then trade them for money, or like sell them for like, is he kind of some type of like poacher? Whereas he's saying he's a Jedi, but is he really a Jedi, or is he just kind of like a Han Solo smuggler type?
Yeah, it's interesting because I know Jude Law in an interview said that some of the kids love him and some of the kids aren't going to like him. And I don't know if it's one of those things where it's like Island of the Misfit Toys, where he comes across these lost creatures and says like, come with me, I'll take care of you or whatever. And they become sort of a found family or whatever. I'm not sure. That's a little too much speculation for having only seen a minute 40 seconds, and then whatever we saw at
Or they
Special
make him a
Operations.
good guy. Maybe he starts off as a bad guy and he becomes a good guy after hanging out with kids.
Yeah, I'm hoping it's more linear and it's more straightforward. Like, I don't want to, especially coming off of the Acolyte, where we're sitting there like, oh, is that person this? And oh,
I know,
think
we
that
had so
person
much
did that.
fun doing that though.
I did, but I think
Yeah.
now I want something where I'm like, I'm watching this and I know exactly what this is, and I hope
There's
I
no
assume
guessing.
I assume he's going to ultimately be a friend to them, and I think that's how that's going to go. And I think the pirates from the Mandoverse and Mandalorian are going to be the adversaries that
Which
come
they had
across.
on display at D23. They had all the costumes on display.
Right, and then but they'll also run into issues the way the old Star Wars characters did, that doesn't necessarily need a villain, trash compactor, falling into traps, getting yourself into hairy situations, and those are the moments where you get to see the characters work together, build their relationships, and grow. And you know me, character relationships are number one, and this type of storytelling always relies on that. I am very confident, because the two guys who are making it, who's Christopher, why am I forgetting their names? Christopher Watts.
Ford.
What is it?
John Watts, Christopher Ford.
Right. John Watts and Christopher Ford. So they both worked together on Spider-Man Homecoming. And I felt like that movie especially really did a good job of developing and building Peter's relationship with his friends. And they knew how to balance the fun with the emotion. And I think that with that mix, and these two back in the mix here with this, with the lens of an Amblin, I think they're set up for success. I know there's been rumblings about like, oh, it's not testing well and stuff. But to me, I'm just going by what I've seen so far, and the trailer looks a lot of fun. Also, just from a visual perspective, it seems like one of those things, like, when you go on a really cool like Disney ride or a land somewhere, whether it's Galaxy's Edge or the Harry Potter thing at Universal, there's so much nooks and crannies and things to look at. And like that scene where they walk in and like there's that owl who looks like he's right off the bag of a Wise potato chips bag.
He's
like,
so cool. He's the coolest thing I
Yes!
think in this trailer. And it reminds me very much of Labyrinth, where you're exploring these scenes and these places, and every time you get somewhere new, it's a new adventure. Like it's a new thing to unlock. It kind of feels like there's a new creature, puppet, and I can't wait for the show specifically because of that. So like Acolyte was the show that I was looking forward to for the stunt work and the fight work and the lightsabers. This show, I want puppets. I want droids. I want crazy prosthetic makeup, but mostly puppets. If we're being honest, give me all the puppets.
I agree. And I don't know if that voice was the owl or whatever, but it looks like a really wise owl. So I wonder if it's like one of those things where they come across him and he teaches them like a lesson, or like he passes along some wisdom. He's like this little like sort of Yoda figure for them. And I know there's sort of owl figures in Star Wars with the Morai, but this guy looks like an owl. And he looks like he looks like the Wise potato chips owl, if you Google that. And I
or
thought
the Tootsie Pop guy.
The Tootsie Pop guy. I thought about him too. And then there's the Jawas, the yellow eyes Jawas, which I thought were only native to Tatooine. So are we going to Tatooine on this show? To the chagrin of maybe
like
some
they were
people?
in the mining kind of trash world where that monster droid is eating their ship. It looked like that same kind of fire lava was like underneath the tables. So I got the vibe that like they go to this trash planet and then they go into a bar, like a cantina. And that's probably where they meet Jude Law, because that's very kind of Lord of the Rings, where the hobbits go into the thing and then meet, Viggo Mortensen. He's like in the corner being shady and like waiting.
It's where Obi-Wan and Luke met Han Solo and Chewbacca.
That too. Yes. Yes. That's
But
the more obvious choice.
Speaking of that, the Shista Vannin, the werewolf-looking creature that we see with blasters, almost like reminded me of like Rocket from Guardians of the Galaxy, I think is the same species as one of the werewolf-looking characters we see in the Cantina in the original Star Wars, which is funny because I don't know if it was in Light and Magic. It might have been Light and Magic, which just rips. I love Light and Magic. Like George Lucas was like kind of pissed that they didn't have enough characters filling in that bar. It looked like a dead bar.
They were
So
just making stuff up, right?
They got a bunch of Halloween costumes and masks and stuff, and they made like a werewolf creature, and now they're bringing that species back here in Skeleton Crew. Phil Tippett is involved with this.
Yes.
So
yeah.
like the OG godfather of making Star Wars creatures and motion capture, it worked on this show. So I mean that's great in itself, and it just looks like a nice family fun adventure that we're all going to go on together. I could watch with my kids, maybe get another review out of them. We'll see. But overall, I enjoyed the trailer. I assume we're going to get one more that has more length to it, maybe more dialogue.
I think we're going to get a couple more. I think we'll probably get a behind the scenes, and then we'll probably get an overall trailer, and then like some TV spots.
Yeah, but overall, I enjoyed it, and I look forward to more. And it's going to be this nice, cozy thing because it's coming out right around the holidays, right between Thanksgiving and Christmas. So all eyes on Skeleton Crew, and looking forward to it. All right. Then we have Andor. Did you catch the sizzle reel that floated around online?
Honestly, I think I saw bits and pieces of it. I didn't see the full length thing just because I think it kept getting taken down from some people. I did see the shots of Diego coming on stage, and I love how he speaks Spanish when he comes out on stage. I love that. I love that he speaks his native language. I think people need to do that more often, and it's just so beautiful to hear him speak Spanish. Oh my God, he's amazing. But yeah, I remember seeing Tony Gilroy talking about how their things are happening and they're excited and they show all the scenes. I wish they would just release this, because this is one of the things that I kind of guessed going into D23 was that they were going to release some type of behind the scenes sizzle.
I agree. And what's interesting about their approach, which I don't know that I understand, is, and I could be wrong here, but I imagine people going to D23 already have Disney Plus subscriptions. So you don't need to sell those folks on these shows. You need to sell everybody else on these. And Rogue One made over $1 billion. Why would you not release this now, knowing Andor is coming out? 2025 is in 4 months. Andor is coming out in 2025. This clip had K2SO in it. It had Alan Tudyk talking about K2SO. Like, you could tell what was good about the only thing good about the people who captured this on their phones is you can hear when the crowd buzzed during that clip, and
which are so nice. I wish they recorded a high res version of those.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. And the two biggest spots were Krennic and K2SO on the screen. And if fans see that, those are two massive characters that people loved from Rogue One. People be like, oh, you know what? I checked out on Star Wars a while ago. I don't have Disney Plus. I do have Hulu. I don't know. This is interesting. We're going to get these characters. This is going to go right into Rogue One. I'm back in. Release the clip. I don't understand that. So I'm glad I got to check it out. I did not share it or anything like that. I did.
Which, by the way, Krennic is back officially. They announced that, everything. It makes those videos that we talked about weeks ago even funnier, that he's like, what? Huh? Ben Mendelsohn, that's like, oh, maybe they'll have me back. And we were both like, he's coming back.
I don't listen to actors. You can't. Yeah.
But they didn't used to do this. They didn't used to lie like this. Manny
lied about the Acolyte. Everybody lied. What's her name? Daphne Keane lied. Yeah. So and I'm glad they did, of course, but we got to take all those interviews with a pinch of cinnamon. But
I think Liam Neeson and Ewan McGregor kind of kicked that off with the what? No.
Oh yes, right. Yeah, he's like, I think I still have my lightsaber on the wall around here somewhere. It's like, dude, you're coming back. Just stop it, please. But yeah, so I'm excited about Andor season 2. It looks great from that sizzle reel. We knew it was going to look great because season 1 looked great, and we know it's going to deliver. You're going to get what you were getting before. This is not going to be one of those shows where you're like, I don't know what we're in for here. I hope they deliver. It's Tony Gilroy again. It's the whole crew again. It's the whole cast again, probably with less stress because they don't have to film during, certain COVID restrictions or whatever was going on when they were filming the first season. And it's going to be ready to go for next year.
It's like senior year. They're just doing the final lap.
They're doing the final lap. Each 3 episodes is going to represent a year as we tick down to Rogue One, and Diego Luna confirmed in a separate interview that literally the last scene of Andor is going to be him arriving at the Ring of Kafrene to meet up with Tivik. So literally right into his entrance in Rogue One, which is another good thing because now we don't have to worry about people being bummed out about a show's ending. They told us the ending. We know how the show's going to end. So now it's just a matter of the execution. So the only bit of speculation before we move on to the Mandalorian and Grogu, for me anyway, is I don't see how there's any way that Bix survives this series or Luthen. I think he's out too. Because then everyone else sort of continues on with the story. K2, Mon Mothma, obviously Cassian gets to live for a few more days.
Yeah, I would say Bix is definitely nixed.
Ooh. Deep burn. But yeah, Luthen, is probably toast too.
Yeah, I don't think Tony Gilroy likes to keep anybody around. He likes to tie up loose ends.
Luthen's gonna have. How about this? This won't happen, but I'll just throw it out there. Like K2SO had that really sort of awesome exit where he slammed the machine and made things blow up or whatever.
Cried. I straight up cried when that happened. Yeah.
What if he witnesses Luthen do something like that, and so then that scene in Rogue One gets even more meaning? Luthen, because I think Luthen's going to go out in a blaze of glory. I think he's going to go out doing something big because he's a big part of what created this rebellion. He can't go out like a chump. He's got to go out doing something cool like he did in that episode in the space battle in the first season. So I think Luthen's going to go out, but I think he's going to go out in a big way.
He ain't no punk. I said he ain't no punk.
And I doubt in this day and age they're going to let Bix go out in a whimper either, because I could see her getting her revenge on Daedra.
I mean, they straight up tortured her. It was one of the most intimate scenes I've ever watched.
To get her revenge on her, right?
So uncomfortable. Yeah.
Because if she's gonna die, well, she might not die. Who knows? Maybe she goes
I think she's gonna die because
she goes and runs a deli
Cassian
somewhere.
has to tie up his loose ends of not having that attachment.
Yeah.
Because then he goes into Rogue One kind of being that hardened person. You know what I mean? Nothing phases him because he has nothing to lose. He's lost everything.
Yeah. Yeah, true. But yeah, so you know what you're getting with Andor, and if you love Andor, you're gonna have a great time. I like Andor, so I know it's gonna be good. But I don't know. We'll see what happens. But all good signs from Tony Gilroy. He's the type of person that is gonna deliver, and we know the show's done. So it's one of those things we don't have to worry about. And then we move on to the Mandalorian and Grogu. So I have some spicy takes about this presentation, so I'm not starting with this one. I'm throwing this one to you.
Well, I am so excited about this movie. I can't wait. I will start with the things that I really enjoyed. Number one being Grogu with the 2 Anzellans in that little ship, or the little
Of course.
Of course, I'm gonna pick the Anzellans. Come on. I love puppets. I love that kind of stuff, and the fact that knowing probably 6 dudes were underneath this thing being just makes me laugh. It's funny. It's so funny. And this is another one that I wish they would just release the full footage, but I understand that they're trying to give the people that paid the opportunity to feel like they got something out of their ticket. Other than that, the CG looked really great. It was most of it was probably recaps of previous seasons to kind of build up this is who we've been with.
The first half, yeah,
nostalgic. These characters mean so much to us. They're about to go on their new adventure. Get ready. We saw Zeb with him, which we've all been asking. Where is Zeb with the Ahsoka show?
Right
now we know he's been with the Mandalorian. So. Yeah. Which means Paul's definitely in this movie.
Oh, also, by the way, not to go back, but Skeleton Crew, we saw the 2 X-Wings. I bet that Carson Tave is in.
Carson Tave is in that too? I would love that for him.
I would guarantee he is patrolling. He's everything okay here? And one of those,
Yeah, because it's always 2 of them together. It's probably him and Trapper Wolf or something.
Yeah.
I love that for Paul. Carson Tave is the best. And I say this all the time, but it's so true. I'm loving that they're making him like the John Ratzenberger of these Star Wars shows where he always just shows up. He's always like, you hear his voice and you're like, oh, Carson Teva. I can't wait. I'll scream in the movie theater when that happens. And if I see Paul anytime soon at Celebration or wherever, I'm giving him the biggest hug, being like, you are killing it.
Oh,
he is.
Yeah. He's a great guy.
Here's my, I would say, constructive fan feedback. Where is Pedro? And I understand he's doing Fantastic Four. He was at San Diego Comic-Con the week prior, or whatever it was, a couple weeks prior. My question is, they couldn't have him record a video being like, hey guys, I can't be there because I'm doing Fantastic Four. However, can't wait to show you the new footage from Mandalorian and Grogu. Even at San Diego, like you and I talked about this, John, like him calling Grogu Baby Yoda, and Grogu's in the title of the movie. Like, is he just not into Star Wars anymore? It kind of feels that way a little bit.
That was a little rough. Yeah, Ash Crossan showed him a video of like a puppet of Grogu at the Mos Eisley thing.
No, it was like the Mattel figure, the one that you
figure. And he was telling his co-host that was Baby Yoda.
Vanessa
so she apparently has never heard, like, she's the only person on Earth who's never heard of this thing. And
he was like,
we want to Grogu, and I was like, dude, you were used to correct people all the time. What now?
No, I feel like he just doesn't care anymore. Supposedly he already recorded his scene, so maybe he's just done.
I would have had them film something quick with him in the costume saying like, we're making Mando the movie, to like just say something. But
you're not even going to bring out Grogu?
I know. So that's where I'm getting a little spicy is I'm sure they're saving stuff for Star Wars Celebration. But if you're going to show a sort of trailer of this, and you don't like, that's where I'm a little worried about the Mandalorian and Grogu. And it's like Skeleton Crew. Here's Jude Law, walks out on stage, presents the trailer.
He's done multiple things. Interviews, on camera, written. Sure. Yeah.
Andor. Here's Diego Luna, walks out on stage by himself, talks to the crowd, introduces the trailer. People are like, the stars are here to promote their show, their movies, whatever. And then Favreau and Filoni come out. Again, I love them.
Couple of buddies.
Jon Favreau is king, as you know. And I have full faith that he's going to deliver a visually stunning movie. Just rewatch. If you're worried about Favreau in Manhattan Beach with the stagecraft making his movie, rewatch Chapter 9 of The Mandalorian, and I don't think you'll be worried. Just watch this little trailer that leaked out, even if it wasn't officially, it's on HD or whatever. It looks pretty good. Those AT-ATs and stuff.
Yes.
The Razor Crest is back. I have a prediction about that, which is probably also going to be wrong, but here we go. I think because he is gone, I think Grief Karga is going to like leave Mando a new Razor Crest or something. Like Grief Karga died or he left or something, and he left something for Mando, and he goes into this like warehouse with the tarp on the thing, and it's going to be revealed to be a new Razor Crest for him, and that'll be a nice way to honor Carl Weathers, because everyone loved the Razor Crest, and they were like,
they made that HasLab and then they blew it up.
Yeah, so everyone was like, "What? Really? The Razor Crest? It was this unique ship and all that stuff." And you can freeze people and store them in shelves. It was just like wonderful. Had cool little balls for your son to play with. It's just very cool. So I was never down with the N1. I remember what I always said, Lacey. I was like, if they make this movie, they need a ship where they can hang out in and build relationships in.
There is a theory in the chat.
Can't do that.
Samir said it's Zeb's Razor Crest.
Hey, that's cool too. That works for me too. But it's cool. It's just cool that the Razor Crest is back. Obviously, it's not that Razor Crest that was blown to smithereens. But back to my point. Like Jon Favreau, like if he wasn't working with Lucasfilm right now, man, like he is. I'm not saying he's the lifeboat, but geez, he's involved with all this stuff aside from Andor, which Tony Gilroy's like finishing up, and he's executive producing Skeleton Crew. He's directing and writing The Mandalorian and Grogu. You know, talk to people still, and you hear things, and I've heard some not potentially great things about the future of some projects. And it's like, if Jon Favreau wasn't here doing this stuff, like, they'd be in a world of trouble. And in a weird way, as successful as Jon Favreau's career has been, I don't think he's getting the respect he deserves from Star Wars fans. Like,
Why do you say that?
because I think every time there's something with Mando or whatever, people are just like, Filoni, Filoni, Filoni. And it's like, who do you think took Filoni under his wing? And who do you think wrote this show, created this show, is directing this movie? Like, put respect on Jon Favreau's name from a Star Wars perspective, because he's killed everything else in the game. He's billion-dollar box office movies, the #1 animated movie of all time, launched the MCU with Robert Downey Jr., took a chance on that guy, and now that guy's coming back to save the MCU. Like, Jon Favreau is the king, and don't forget it. And I'm just so glad that he's here doing that. And he is the reason why I'm not worried about this movie. I am not worried about this movie at all.
I'm not worried at all because it's John's movie and he's involved. If he wasn't involved, I'd be worried.
The only thing that upsets me is I do kind of feel like Pedro Pascal is like all set with this stuff, because in 2019 we were in that room in the Wintrust Center, and he came out on stage and he like collapsed on the table.
He was
and
like shaking. He was
like
so
tears
excited.
in his eyes. And Favreau's like, "You are the Mandalorian," and now he doesn't even say Grogu, and I just hope when it's time to promote this movie, which is going to go against Marvel movies at the box office, it's going to be Favreau going against his boy Robert Downey Jr., that Pedro comes out on Fallon with Grogu and promotes the hell out of this thing, because The Mandalorian definitely boosted his career. And right now it's like he's just a voice, when before he was the Mandalorian, and they did a good job covering that up.
Yeah, I think it's just kind of like when he's only doing the voice, which the rumor is that he already did his parts for the movie because he had to cut his hair and everything for Fantastic Four. So the rumor is that he recorded all his parts already that are off, helmet off, on camera parts, if there are any. He was doing them prior to Fantastic Four and Pinewood. So my thought is, it's just naturally when you're not involved in something, you're going to care a little less than when you're there physically doing the work. But it is weird that he went back to calling it Baby Yoda. I don't know if he did that because Vanessa Kirby didn't know what it was, so he assumed, hey, she probably knows Baby Yoda, but doesn't know Grogu.
It's not just
that. But it did seem like he wasn't interested in answering Star Wars questions. He was more.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
It reminded me a lot of the journey Oscar Isaac went on or even John Boyega, where it's like they were all in, they loved it, they were all in on Star Wars, and I was so happy these new guys are here, and I love them. And then by the end, he was being like so like snarky about it. They were like, "Would you want a Poe Dameron show on Disney Plus?" He's like, "Absolutely not." He's like, "I'm all set." I'm like, "Well, good for you, dude." And then he makes the comment about the houses and stuff, and then we see him in Marvel. It's like, I'm getting a little tired of like Star Wars getting slapped around. You know, I want people to be like, I want to be in Star Wars. Star Wars is it. Star Wars is what all these things all these people making all these other movies. James Cameron, inspired by Star Wars. Like, Star Wars was the standard, and that's what makes me upset. Is that now it seems like it's okay to slap Star Wars around when it helped you with your career, and now you're moving on to other stuff, and they keep moving on to Marvel. Well, we'll get to it in a minute. Alden Ehrenreich in Marvel. And I don't think that's his fault, but it's just like, I want to see. That's why anytime there's an actor, like even Jude Law right now, who's like talking about Star Wars, he's talking about Han and Greedo, he's old school. I want to hear more of that. I want people you have this honor and privilege to be in this incredible franchise. If you are checked out on it, don't tell me you are. Like, the only person who can get away with that is Harrison Ford, and that's because he's been doing that since day one.
That's the bit, yeah.
Yeah. So that's my little rant on that. And I
do have a question, though.
Okay.
My question's away from Pedro. I think we've finished Pedro talk right now and John talk. I do have a question, and I'm going to use a sports reference or comparison, even though I'm not a sports person, but you are, John. And I think it speaks that, or just like any big company. So you have D23. easily one of the, if not the biggest weekend for Disney. All their announcements, whether it be media, parks, etc. These are the big things that they're saying to their stakeholders, to their fans, to whoever. This is what we're doing. Here's the plan. Which, by the way, we didn't get any maps laid out for any of these franchises, which people were saying we were going to get. We didn't. Every big person comes out on stage and talks about what's coming at these big company events. For San Diego Comic-Con, Kevin Feige did his piece there. That makes sense. They've always done San Diego Comic-Con. It's kind of Kevin Feige's thing to be the guy on that stage. My question is, where was Kathleen Kennedy?
I found that strange too.
It's really weird
yeah.
that she wasn't there. And I understand that, like, if you're busy and doing things, that makes sense. But like,
Sure.
they record videos all the time of being like, hey, I can't be there, but blank. They did that with the Fantastic Four, where they were like, hey, we can't be there, but here's some footage from our movie that's coming. Where is the head of the studio talking about what's coming with the studio? She's been at all the other ones.
Yeah.
She wasn't at San Diego Comic-Con. So what's going on there?
Yeah, especially only because like sometimes like if it was a situation where it was like, oh, Kathleen Kennedy never shows up to these things. It's like, no, she's always there.
She's always been there. Yeah.
She's always, whether it's the webcast or whether it's at Star Wars Celebration or past D23s revealing the Obi-Wan Kenobi series with Ewan McGregor. She's right there, center stage by herself with a microphone, delivering the goods, telling us what's going on. And she wasn't anywhere. And it's just like, I know there's people out there who are like, finally, she's gone. I can't wait. Oh, yeah. If I was right. It's like, no, you weren't right, because you've been saying this every year and you've been wrong every year.
My sports question was, when you have a big game, you don't play the game without the general manager or the owner, whoever, the coach. So it's weird to me that she wasn't there. She's the one leading the charge of where this business is going, where the company's going, what the plans are. So why wasn't she there? Sorry. Keep going. That was the point of my tangent.
Yeah, I agree. Like when the Yankees are under fire, like George Steinbrenner would always show up, or Brian Cashman or whatever. I get that. I mean, her contract's up in 4 months. The last time her contract was up for renewal, it was announced in November that they renewed it for 3 more years. So that very well may happen. It's also possible that, Kathleen Kennedy's in her 70s now. George Lucas sold Star Wars when he was 68. Like, maybe she's like, I did this for 12 years or 13 years or whatever. 12 years. I'm time to move on to the next thing. Maybe Frank Marshall has plans with Universal. He wants to pull her involved from a producing perspective. I don't know. But we'll see. We'll see what happens there. I did find it strange that she wasn't there, because she's always there. So that was odd to me, that it seemed like Filoni has now become the person to tell people what's going on. And that's fine, because he's really taking a higher executive level. And it's smart, because Disney's probably like, the fans love that guy. A lot of fans don't seem to like Kathleen Kennedy. So let's put Dave out there and have Dave tell all the fans things. Maybe that's it. I don't know. It was just something that caught my eye and I found interesting. But anyway,
it was weird to me. I don't know why they wouldn't have the head of the studio at least introduce people.
Yeah, it was interesting. Yeah, I don't know. It's because she's always been there, so it's definitely something to keep an eye on. We'll see. Who knows? Maybe in 2 months, it's like Kathleen Kennedy renewed for 3 years, just like the last time. We don't know. Maybe this is it. Maybe these last 4 months are it, and there's a shift happening. We don't know. We'll see.
We're gonna see an article in 3 weeks being like, "Is Kathleen Kennedy quiet quitting?"
There it is.
Is she quiet quitting before she leaves?
What I do know is the Mandalorian and Grogu. While I don't necessarily love the title, it's coming. It's coming in May of 2026.
I think they needed to make it that title, though. They needed to get the normies to be like, Grogu, Mandalorian, I'm in.
Maybe.
I guarantee that's what it is.
Favreau's going to hit the date. It's going to look great because it's a Jon Favreau movie, and he knows these characters. He created these characters, and he's going to deliver a nice send-off, because I think this is going to be it for The Mandalorian. So this is going to be a nice end to this story, and there'll probably be some tissues in the audience, dabbing some tears away and that sort of thing. But I think ultimately it's going to be a really good movie because Jon Favreau makes really good movies. So I'm very excited for The Mandalorian and Grogu. I'm very excited for the Skeleton Crew. I know Andor is going to deliver and serve the story it needs to serve for the creation of the rebellion. So those three things are good. Beyond that, not sure what's going on. Obviously, no mention whatsoever of the Rey movie. No mention whatsoever of Mangold's movie. Is that done because of the box office of Indiana Jones? We don't know. And then Filoni's movie, he was there and they didn't talk about his movie. So I'm not really sure what is going on there. But are you ready to move on to the next story?
I am, because I think that this is really exciting for you and I. Somewhat.
So it's time to turn it back to like feel good now. So
TRB is back and go.
Hey, we're always honest, and
I'm just kidding. I'm just joking.
We do it respectfully, and we always will. And
of course,
this is how it's always going to be. So speaking of D23, Alden Ehrenreich was there, but sad face, he was there for Marvel, promoting Ironheart. Which I'm happy for him. He's been doing such a great job with his career. He's directing independent movies. He's starring in independent movies. He's now in Marvel. Like he's doing Oppenheimer. He had a small role, but he crushed that. But anyway, he was there promoting Ironheart. And of course, as any person who's ever been in Star Wars, he gets asked about it. And we're going to show that clip here and get his answer as to his thoughts on being Han Solo again.
And I read that you might want to return as Han Solo one day. What was it like speaking out about that? And is that something you're still interested in?
Yeah, maybe if it's the right version of it. It's such a fun character, and the story that I did is kind of like the making of Han Solo. So I got to really be like the Han Solo we know and love in the last bit of the movie. And if it was the right thing, it would be fun to play him and be the guy, in that way.
Make Solo 2 happen. Make Solo 2 happen. Make Solo 2 happen. And I love that stash.
It is August 2024, and Alden Ehrenreich is saying he would like to come back and play Han Solo again. And he's specific about it again. And I love the way he put that. He said the making of that movie was the making of Han Solo. And it's so true. It's like Han, when we meet Han in A New Hope, he's this bitter, jaded guy who's only out for himself and his buddy Chewie and his ship. And he goes through all of these heartbreaks and betrayals to harden him enough to where he's going off to Jabba to become that Han Solo that we know. And the fact that he keyed in on that and is interested in doing that is so cool. And we know the talent's there. Like I tweeted about it today. This dude had to deliver a line saying a bear did cocaine, and he nailed it. It's just like he is an immensely talented actor. He did such a good job as Han Solo, making it his own. Harrison Ford even said that, praised it on camera.
Our buddy Stephen Ford, when he came on the show, he was one of the people that was up for Han Solo and said that Alden blew it away. Like he is one of the best actors he's ever seen in his lifetime.
Also, that he's apparently a really good dude, which is always
the nicest guy. Yes.
So I don't know what's going on with that. My wonderment would be like, do they take a swing and really try to make a syndicate movie that involves Jabba, Boba Fett, Maul, Kira? Like that would crush. Do they have the gumption to do that? Or is it the Lando movie? Like that's another thing. We didn't hear anything about at D23, and Donald Glover is still a very popular figure in pop culture.
Another thing they brought up at Celebration that they didn't mention here at all, and it's been a year and
so it's a little ominous, it's a little murky, we're not sure, but here we have Alden Ehrenreich. He could easily have said like, I'm all set with that, or no, we told our story, we moved on. He's like, no, yeah, I'd be down if it's the right thing. And to him, the right thing is
to me
the Han Solo he became. So
I think he just admitted that conversations are happening. If I'm being honest,
it did sound a little like uncomfortable. His voice went up.
Yes, Donald Glover said the exact same thing. Of if the story is good, I'm in. We're working on it, but the story has to be good. And if you're using the same exact words, bros are talking. Like, how awesome would it be if you had a Han Solo movie where Lando's in it, but then you had a Lando movie where Han's in it? They're never without each other. That would be awesome. That would be such a nice pair of two movies together. I think conversations are happening. I think that he is saying things that Donald Glover has said himself in interviews with other people, and then numerous times Donald has said that. Like, if the story's good, then I'm in. Oh, since COVID, I'm rethinking what I'm working on, and the story has to be there. He's saying the same thing right now. I think that it's happening. I think that discussions are being had.
Also, not for nothing, it would be, you want to talk about like we're trying to promote diverse filmmakers. It would be a bad look to say like we had a Lando series for Donald Glover. We shifted that to a movie and gave it to Donald and his brother, and then cancel that. Like, that's a rough look. So hopefully,
why are you hearing things are getting canceled?
I'm not hearing things are getting canceled. I heard that projects are getting put on hold, but
it seems that way. Like, even without hearing anything, I've heard nothing, by the way.
Like when we were making
but it's
our
like
D20,
nothing. Radio silence. Like,
But
hello,
when we were
Bueller?
making our D23 predictions, I remember saying I'd be shocked if they said anything about the Rey movie because we had heard that they didn't have a script yet. But when it comes to the other stuff, like Dave Filoni was on stage. How did he not? Unless I missed it. Well, because I wasn't in the room, but nobody talked. I don't think anybody reported on it. He didn't talk about his movie, did he?
No.
Yeah, so that's strange. And then the Mangold thing, I have a feeling that is over. Only
really, after Indiana Jones, you think he had the same curse? Oh my gosh, because Indiana Jones did not do well.
And it might not be Lucasfilm. Lucasfilm might be like, no, we want him to still make this movie. And Disney's like, he just made an Indiana Jones movie and couldn't get over $300 million. So
maybe Bob Iger's like, look, I just did Inside Out 2 and it made $1 bajillion. I'm making another Inside Out. Forget your Dawn of the Jedi.
Here's the other thing. I believe Bob Iger when he speaks, and now the proof is in the pudding. And we'll talk about it on Nerdy and Nice on Monday. All the other stuff released on D23, it's sequel city, it's familiarity, it's things that he knows are going to deliver. They may apply that filter to Star Wars. We may be reeling things a lot back into familiarity with Star Wars moving forward. And you may be seeing a lot more R2-D2 and C-3PO and Chewbacca and Millennium Falcon than your Hu-Yangs and your other things.
Acolytes.
Because that's what Bob Iger said, and he's running the show, and we're already seeing it with other franchises. So I'm just keeping an eye on that. I'm a little worried about the Rey movie. I'm not going to lie.
I am too. Remember, though, that Bob Iger supposedly is the one that pushed for Mandalorian and Grogu, because they were going to do season 4 and 5 of Mandalorian. And they, like, behind the scenes, sources are saying that Bob Iger is the one that's like, nope, make it a movie. Go make it a movie. Because all of a sudden, it's a movie now, which it wasn't originally. Yeah. Because it wasn't a movie at Celebration. Remember? Mandalorian and Grogu wasn't a movie, right? It wasn't announced then. It was announced later.
It was announced as a movie, but it sort of supplanted Mando season 4 in a sense. Because
was it at Celebration that they announced that, though? I thought they announced Filoni's movie at Celebration, and then after Celebration, they said there was Mando over the summer. No. And then we were like, what does that mean? I can't... I don't remember.
Yeah, the movies they only announced the 3 movies at Celebration. It was Filoni's like Ahsoka verse, his movie Mangold and Daisy Ridley. Yeah, Ray Skywalker. So,
right. So then Mando came later.
After.
We were surprised that Jon Favreau was at Celebration and didn't mention that. And we were like, why wouldn't he mention it there? It's because things changed from Celebration to the time that Mandalorian and Grogu was announced. That changed. They went, nah, make it a movie.
Yeah. So anyway, I hope Alden Ehrenreich gets to come back and play Han Solo, whether that's in a direct follow-up or another story. I love, again, it's that theme of, I guess the theme of this podcast. Like, you love when people want to be involved. Maybe Star Wars isn't the what's the phrase I'm looking for? I guess isn't the most popular choice right now. It's not the cool party the way maybe Marvel has become again after Deadpool and Wolverine and Robert Downey Jr. returning. But it shows something of character to me, especially for a guy like Alden Ehrenreich, whose movie didn't perform well to no fault of his own or anyone who made the movie. And he's still like, yeah, give me another crack at that character because I think I can do something special with what he became. I love that. And I think that's so cool. And I think he deserves a successful project to
So
show
does
that
Jonas.
it wasn't him. And Jonas, of course. Oh, yeah, we love Jonas. Yeah. So yeah, that's that. But let us get to some questions. I know we have some super chats, so we're going to get to those first in our next segment, which, as you all know, is called Ask the Resistance.
I've been wondering, what are midichlorians?
All right, you run this one.
All right, guys, Ask the Resistance. We're taking questions right now from the live chat. Just make sure to put hashtag Ask the Resistance in the chat. If you ever want to be on a show and you have a question for us, just send it on social media at TRB Podcast or via email, resistancebroadcast@gmail.com. We'll try our best to get it in, or you can send it over messages on Patreon if you choose to send it there as well. All right, so let's get to some super chats first. So first up, we have David Ford. Thank you so much for the super chat. He said Alien Romulus is true to the first film and shares a lot with Andor. Talented theatrical cast and awesome set design with practical effects. Must see. David, I think you're on the wrong podcast. I think you want to make this super chat on Nerdy Nice. That's fine. We'll still take it.
He did bring up Andor, but thank you, buddy.
He did bring up Andor.
Thank you very much.
True. That's very true. All right, next up we have Darth Snips. Thank you so much, girl, for the super chat. She said, so glad you guys are back. Thank you. It was a nice trip away. Again, we've been going so hard for 6 years now, with the only breaks when, I had children, John had children. It's been bananas. So this was kind of the first time that we genuinely were like, we're recharging, we're taking a break. But we still had stuff going out and still doing interviews and stuff. But she asks, what was your favorite part of your vacation, John?
I don't know if being at the beach with the whole family was nice, but we went for my dad's 75th birthday and he doesn't like traveling much anymore. And it's not because of his age or anything. I mean, his knees are
so fun though. You're all in one house together. That's so fun.
Yeah, it was cool. But we went for his 75th birthday and we got to celebrate that. And my sister was there with her boys and my brother with his kids, me with my kids, and my mom and dad. And my dad's brother who lives down there came to hang out. And he looks just like my dad. He's just a little taller, if you can believe that.
Yeah, yeah.
And Daisy was looking at him and he's like double Opa. So it was just, I think overall it was just a good time being with the family and just having fun and not working. So that was cool.
And John did take a picture in front of the Jersey Shore house, if anybody's wondering.
And yeah, I took a couple. Yeah. I went to the Jersey Shore house.
I was cackling when I saw that picture.
Had to show up the cannons.
Yeah. Mine favorite moments, having young children, it's just a whole new experience of the things that because you're older, but experiencing the beach through her eyes, going to the playground with her, going to the pool and the splash pad, going to get crepes with her. We got her a crepe with strawberries, blueberries, and bananas, and it was piled extremely high. The look on her face of pure wonderment of this is the best thing I've ever seen in my life. Just the joy that little kids have make everything better. Yeah. It makes it so much more fun. And it was nice to log off for a little bit. When you're online nonstop for 6 years, sometimes it's okay to just log off and preserve your own happiness and remember to live in the moment, which I did a lot of that. I was really proud of myself. I did a lot of living in the moment, putting my phone away. So I would say my favorite moments were just being with my children. Archie just sat up yesterday for the first time.
I know.
It's such a big thing.
Big deal.
Yeah, all on his own. It was so exciting, and it was, like, kinda bittersweet too because it's like, "Oh my god, he's growing up, he's getting so old," but at the same time, you're like, "Oh, this is getting fun," because once they can, like, talk and walk and play, it's like a whole new game with little kids. It's, like, more
Exactly.
fun, so to speak, because 'cause you're not having to hold them all the time or, make sure they don't die. That's the big thing when they're, like, first year, you're just making sure they're okay. But yeah, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. And of course, it wouldn't be a show without Freezy2324. What up, man? He said, "Do you think Thrawn, Luke, or Ahsoka will be in it?" I guess
The Mando movie, right?
the Mando movie. Yeah, I think Thrawn's going to be in it.
I think Luke's gonna be in it.
Oh, you think Luke's coming back?
I think, like going back to the whole thing. I mean, I don't think Disney's gonna step on Jon Favreau's toes because he's delivered for them every freaking time. But
Mhm.
I could see them being like, "Can you get Luke Skywalker in this movie?" And they're like, "Yeah, he's shown up already." And they're like, "All right, do it." So
Yeah.
I think Luke's gonna be in it the same way he was done in previous Mando stuff. It's not gonna be a recast. Continuity is so important to Lucasfilm for that suspension of disbelief that
Mhm.
until they did cross over with Mon Mothma and they put Genevieve O'Reilly in post Return of the Jedi stuff, and that's really the first time. But until they do it with a main character, like Carrie Fisher was dead, and they brought her back for Episode 9
Mhm.
because they understand, like, I'm not looking at Julianne Moore and pretending that's Princess Leia. That's absurd after 40 years. So until they do it once with a massively big character, legacy character,
Mhm.
I believe they're going to continue to do it this way. To what and people have varying opinions on that, and that's fine. But
Right.
I don't think Thrawn will be. I think he'll be more focused on
It's
the Ahsoka
tricky
stuff.
because we
Yeah,
don't know where everything stands. Like, did
yeah.
they cancel Ahsoka and they're running it, like mashing all of this into one big
I don't
cinematic
think they canceled
crossover?
Ahsoka. Maybe the Filoni movie got bumped and they or melded
But
in
you
with
know what
this.
I mean? Like, we don't know. We're never gonna know until Celebration next year what the plans are.
If I had to bet, I
Mhm.
will say definitely Luke, maybe Ahsoka, not Thrawn for the Mandalorian movie. What about
Mm.
you?
Mm. I think I think all 3. I think Thrawn's gotta be the bad guy in this movie. Like, who else is gonna be the bad guy?
In Mando? They can do a
Because
lot of things.
they've set it up with Ahsoka, right? That they could just have her have them all show up, but then they could leave a little bit of a gap in a time span that if they wanted to go back and do a season 2, they could. Like, they could just have this pick up later and then have the show go back.
Yeah, I don't know. It's
I
interesting
think
'cause
all 3. They
All
need a
right.
bad guy, and Moff
We'll see.
Gideon is
Yeah, we'll see. I'd be a little I don't know, I'd be a little upset if Thrawn was the bad guy in the Mando movie because I feel like that's the Rebels Ahsoka story. And
it's
while
the
it's
Mando
adjacent,
cinematic universe, though.
but I feel
Mm,
like they cross over a little bit, but
mhm,
having the main villain of that story come over here, I don't know. We'll see.
mhm.
Um all right. What else we got? Thank you, Freezy, by the way. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Semper Fi Danny's up. Thank you so much. Says, do you think that maybe Lucasfilm is in pause mode on projects because they are anticipating KK leaving and don't want to anchor the new person with KK's vision?
I do. Well, yeah, I
I
think
mean,
that
it
might be
might
the
be
case.
a Chapek, Bob Iger situation where he stopped doing stuff Iger was doing, and then Iger stopped doing stuff that Chapek was doing, or like Ryan stopped doing stuff that Abrams was doing, and then Abrams stopped what Ryan had planned.
I don't think that means things are going to be extinguished necessarily, but
Reworked.
I do think that is a possibility, Danny. I think that's a good question. Yeah, thanks.
Mhm. Next up is Tater Tot. Thanks for the question. Ask the Resistance. They said, "Am I the only person questioning Jude Law's character? Maybe I'm having trust issues because of the acolyte, but something about him seems untrustworthy. Smuggler or secret Imperial? I'm gonna go with smuggler. I said that earlier. I think he's kind of like a Han Solo-y, like pirate smuggler that might be force sensitive, but the kids are gonna prove that he has a heart of gold or something."
Yeah, I could see him sort of being like Willy Wonka in a way, where he's like,
Mm.
he wants to give you a chance, but if you mess up and get greedy, he's gonna cast you away or something like that. So I think he's good. I think he's a Force user. I don't think he's like a Sith or a dark side user. I don't think he's gonna be the villain. I think he's just gonna be this mysterious character that needs to win these kids over. And I think you're right, Lacey. I think there is something to those stories where the kids help the adult learn and grow as well. So I think you're on point with that. But
I mean, I experienced it on vacation just now. Like the stuff that you would overlook as something that's joyful and exciting and something to be passionate about, like strawberries on your crepe, is something to a kid that's like, this is the best thing that's ever happened to me.
Right. Yes. And let's not forget, like, this show is designed where kids can watch this, and they're not going to put too many twists and turns to confuse kids. Like, they're going to
No.
maybe keep it a bit more linear than some of the other stuff.
I agree.
Like Empire Strikes Back, it's like, all right, Darth Vader reveals that he's Luke's dad, and it's like, okay, we still understand the story. It's not going to be too convoluted where betrayals and backstabbing. I think it's going to be more of a linear story. And I assume Jude Law, while mysterious and ominous at times, I think he's going to be a friend for these kids in the end.
I could see that.
Father figure too, perhaps.
Yeah. We have one more super chat from Christy. Thank you so much for the super chat.
Christy.
She said the special guests tonight were great. Way to go, Johnny and Daisy. Lacey and John. You guys were great too.
Thank you very much, Christy. And wasn't Christy the one who had just bought a house or just moved into a house or something?
Yes.
Like that
How's
last week?
that going?
Yeah, you all done? You all moved in? Is that
Yeah.
all the boxes thrown out? I hope everything's going well. Thank you very much.
I still have
Christy.
boxes from when I moved like 8 years ago.
We got a lot of
I
stuff.
find one every once in a while. I'll find one and I'll be like, where'd this box come from?
You got a lot of stuff.
I've gotten rid of a lot of stuff. COVID made me get rid of a ton of stuff, like clothes, all this stuff.
Very
Tearing
nice.
down. Not
Thanks,
Christmas
Christy.
decorations, though. I have so many. I was already looking at trees today. I want that viral TikTok tree from Home Depot. I've been trying to get it. It's out of stock, and they had it up to this week, and I missed it. I want it so bad.
No idea what you're talking about.
You don't know? It's like a tree that like has like 2,200 lights on it, and it goes from white to colored, and it blinks, and it's like all LEDs, and it has a remote, and it's amazing. It's beautiful, and it's really hard to get because everybody wants it. So
it's the Tickle Me Elmo, and then in January they're going to be in the garbage.
no, you can't get them. They're impossible to get. I'm telling you right now, they're really hard.
Oh no! God. All right.
Look, there are a few things in life that make me really excited, and Christmas is one of them. So I am already preparing on August 15th for Christmas. I was listening to Christmas music today while I was getting ready for the podcast. Hype is real. Vacation's over. Time to get ready for Christmas.
No, that's insanity. All right.
I love it.
Okay. That's it. So that brings us to the end of the show. So we want to thank everybody for listening and watching and being a part of TRB. Let us know your thoughts on our thoughts, or let us know your thoughts on the D23 presentations, the trailers, Young Jedi Adventures, what Dee Bradley Baker had to say about his influences on this episode. Alden Ehrenreich wants to come back as Han Solo. Let's get it going. Come on. He's right there. He's happy. He's so happy. He's like, come on, give me the deal. And he still has some sort of contract. So let's get it going. Come on, let's have fun. All right. But anyway, we appreciate everybody so much. Make sure if you haven't and you're interested, you can support us on Patreon. That's a big deal for us. Patreon.com/TRB podcasts. You get mini episodes of TRB. You get mini episodes of Nerdy and Nice. You get live streams. We're going to be doing some watch-alongs. We have Discord server. A lot of cool stuff. Tiers start at $5. And TRB and Nerdy and Nice and everything we do is made by the two people you see here. So your support goes a long way, and we can't thank you enough. So if you're able to, thank you very much. Special shout-out to our generals and spice runners. And they are Carmelo, John Reese, Jetta Rosewater, Frank Grande, Nick Kratz, Chris Morales, Brian Smith, Danny, Mike Ramori, Brendan McLaughlin, Sneaky Zebra, Dave Hornack, Jolton Jedi DiMaggio, Colin Cormier, and Stephen Garrow. And the Spice Runners, David Probst, Neil Shaw, Kendall Gellner, Andrew Staley, Jeremy Myers, and the Fort Worthian, and all of our patrons, all of our listeners, everyone who likes to have a good time talking Star Wars with us, because we love Star Wars so much. And only you understand it. Like when I was on vacation, and my mom was like, "So what happens with your podcast when you're away?" I'm like, "We just didn't put out a podcast." And she's like, "Oh, okay. So what do you talk about?" I'm just like, "Mom, don't worry about it." Right? But anyway,
Shut up, Mom.
Shut up, Mom. Get out. Lacey, where can people find you to nerd out with you about Star Wars and all the other good stuff?
People can find me on social media at Lacey Gillerin and on TikTok at It's Lacey Gillerin. And of course on TRB podcasts, social channels, which we're starting to do more stuff now that the Acolyte's over and we're back from vacation. We're ready to get going. And of course on the Nerdy and Nice pod channels as well. We have a lot of stuff we're working on. And now that we're both more refreshed, we're ready to go.
Yeah. And then for me, Johnny Hoey on X and Blue Sky. But I have some rough experiences on X lately, so Blue Sky, now that I can use it on my Mac, might be where I'm starting to dip my toe in a bit more, as well as TRB. Maybe we're gonna get some. Maybe what if we do a Blue Sky exclusive Resistance transmission soon? How about that?
That would be sweet. I also do want to mention, if you go to Gentle Giant and use the code RESIST20, you do get 20% off. I used it the other day to buy a prize from the Acolyte for our prize winner.
I know people in our Discord were like, "Did someone win? Did they announce the winner?" And they're right. We didn't announce publicly the winner. There was a winner. And
go ahead and say the winner. I already ordered their prize, so
I don't. Yeah, well, I forget their name.
Oh my God. It's Jordan.
Jordan, right? And he
we ran out of Palpatine stuff.
So we got the Vader bust, and
we did,
and he's getting the Stranger helmet. And Jordan, thank you. Sorry I slipped your name. I mean, that's a lot going on, man. But he nailed it. Like 12 on the dot. He sent that email in, and then a bunch started piling in right after him. So I do want to thank everybody for playing along with the Sith code. You got to
say what it is.
What?
The Sith code. What was it?
Oh, yeah, that's right. I never said what the Sith code was.
Oh, my gosh. Okay, I'm reading Jordan's email now. So Jordan said the Sith code is 11/12/1976. This is the publication date for the novel Star Wars from the Adventures of Luke Skywalker, where the Dark Lord of the Sith title was used for Darth Vader.
So it was the first time the term Sith was ever used. And the Acolyte was sort of about Sith. And that's what happened. So Jordan won. But thank you to everybody who played along. We love doing those. I'm sure we'll do another one for Skeleton Crew. We're already working on our plans for that. And
we do have a name. I appreciate everybody sending us name ideas. That's like my new favorite thing that people do when a new show comes out. Yeah. People are like, "What about this? What about Night Crew?
No one has guessed it.
No one has guessed it. John came up with it. He did a really good job and came up with something that was really unique. And I think people are really going to like it.
Thank you. That's very nice of you. I appreciate that. But yeah, we're going to have a good time with that, especially the holiday season, the little giveaways, stuff like that. But yeah, thanks everybody. And if you do like all the other nerdy stuff, Beetlejuice is around the corner, Superman done filming. We're going to do a review of Twisters on Monday. So Nerdy Nice is there for you on its own podcast feed. So please check that out. But thanks for hanging with us talking Star Wars. It's always a great time. We'll be back with you next Thursday for TRB Live to talk more Star Wars. So have a wonderful weekend. And until next time, from me and Lacey, we'll see you around, kids.